Hi everyone, welcome to the Database Tech channel. In this video, I am going to show you how to set up DNS for your Oracle RAC database. I am using a separate server as DNS server. The DNS server hostname is mydns.localdomain.com and the IP address of this DNS is 192.168.56.202. Similarly, I have two RAC servers, RAC 01 and RAC 02. RAC 01 IP address is in the same subnet 192.168.56.151 and RAC 2 IP is 192.168.56.152. Generally, in our lab environment, we store all the information about node hostname, virtual IP, scan name in our etc host file. But if you have configured DNS, you don't have to save those information in etc host file. I'll show you in the practical lab. These are the high level steps we need to perform to configure this DNS. Number one, we need to install bind packages on the DNS server, and then we'll update the resolve.conf file, and this will point to the DNS server. Each node needs to be updated with this information so that node can communicate with DNS server to resolve the hostname. Then we need to modify named.conf file and make some changes in the file. Then there are two important files we need to create. One is forward zone file and then other one is reverse zone file. I'll show you all these entries and we'll talk about this as we do the practical. At step number 6, we'll set proper permission so that we can start the services on DNS server. Then step number 7, we'll need to enable the DNS service and we'll start DNS service. If you enable the DNS service, so once you reboot your server, it will automatically start your DNS service. And then we'll check the etc host file. If you have any entry, we'll remove all the entries and verify if our DNS server is working or not. So we can verify running nslookup command. Alright, time for the demo. I have logged into my DNS server. So first thing we need to do is to install the bind package. So let's follow the document. So we'll install the bind package first. Okay, the package is installed. Now we'll open this etc resolve.conf file on the DNS server and add this entry to this file. I will remove this first entry, and as you can see, I have already added this server IP 202. This is my DNS server's IP, so I'll actually use this as a name server. Okay, we need to add this entry to all the RAC nodes so that RAC node can communicate with this DNS server. Let me do that also. This is my RAC 1 node. I'll open this. Right now it is commented out. Let me uncomment it. Same changes we need to do in RAC 2 also. Right now we are configuring. This is still not completed, but now if you try to ping this server, let me check that. I'll remove the entry from etc host. As you can see here, all the entries are added in my etc host file. Once you configure, we can remove all the entries from this file. So let me comment it out first. Now I have just commented these two entries. Now if I try to ping rack2, it will not be able to resolve the hostname. So once we configure DNS, we'll see how it communicates. So let's follow the next step now. Step number 2 is done. Now we'll move to the next step. We'll open this named.conf file in DNS server and add the required changes. So go to DNS server, open this file. So first change we need to do is on this line. We need to add this IP address of our DNS server. So if you can see here in this document, we are adding IP address of this server, and in the allow query section you need to add your subnet. So I'll add this subnet in the allow query. I'll copy this IP address. Now add this CIDR block. This will allow traffic from this subnet 192.168.56. So next thing we need to do, we need to add two more entries. One is for forward zone file and another one is for reverse zone file. So you can see here, this is my forward zone file entry. So I'll just copy this to a notepad and paste it in my Linux. I've added these contents. First one is forward zone file where the file name is forward.txt. Second is reverse zone file and the file name is reverse.56.168.192.txt. So we need to create these two files. I'll show you how to create it. In which directory we have to create? The directory is, as you can see here, directory is var/named. So we need to create these two files inside this directory. So let me save this file first. Want to see the contents here again. What are the changes we have made? We have added this IP address of DNS server. Then we have added entry in allow query. After that, we added contents for forward zone and for reverse zone. Now is the time to create a forward zone file and reverse zone file. So we'll go to this directory first. Now I'll create a forward.txt file. We need to copy these contents. So this is the format you need to follow. So in the first line you see this is my DNS hostname, DNS ora.localdomain.com, then root.localdomain.com, and these are the standard values you need to add. After that you add the entries for all the host names. For rack 1 I've added this IP address, also added IP address for rack 2. Similarly, if you have other entries, you just have to add those entries in this forward zone file. So let me quickly check what are the other entries we can add. In rack node 1 we have, let's add entry for scan IP of the rack server. So this is rack scan and these are the IPs. So I'll add these entries also. Your scan should return 3 IPs. So as you can see, I have these 3 IPs here. I will add them to the DNS file. Just change this IP address 56 and then 57 and then save it. Now in the same directory you need to create reverse zone file and add these entries. In the reverse zone file, you can notice that my rack 01 ends with 151 and rack 02 ends with 152 and DNS aura ends with 202. So you have to add this entry in reverse order. So this is also done. Let me save it. Now we need to set this permission. It's done. Now start this named. Let me reboot this server. It's failing to start. I'll just reboot this server and check it again. Okay, server is back online. I'll reconnect my session. Okay, now I'm connected. Let me try to start the service again. No error this time. I'll enable this. I've enabled this service. Okay, now is the time to verify this DNS server. I'll go to rack 1. Inside etc host file, these two entries are disabled. So if I try to ping rack 2 from rack 1, it will communicate with DNS server and it finds the entry in the DNS and DNS will return the IP address. Let's check that out. So I'm able to ping. Also, if you run nslookup, you will get this type output. So you can see the server is 202, which is my DNS. So it is communicating with the DNS and resolving the IP address of this host. Now again, go back to my DNS server and check the forward zone file. So here you can see I have a rack scan, which is my scan name, and it has 3 different IPs. So if it is configured in DNS, so every time you run nslookup, you will see it will select random IPs out of these 3 IPs. Sometimes it will give you 155 at the top, sometimes 156 and sometimes 157. Let's try that. So this you get these 3 IPs. First one is 156, second IP 155 and third IP is 157. Let me run it again. So this time it is same. Let me run it again. Now you see it is different. So it is returning 157, then 156 and 155. This is the behavior of DNS when you have these multiple IPs of scans. So it will randomly choose IPs. It means that your DNS is working fine, and this is how DNS is configured. Although most of the times in our lab environment we do not set up this because we think this is very complicated. Following these steps, you can easily configure your DNS in your lab environment. Please let me know in the comment section if you have any queries. Thank you for watching.